But then the other thing is, I put out a lot of content, right? I do a live every day, and then I do 2 reels every day on Facebook and Instagram for our business. And, the engagement's pretty good. It obviously goes up and down, like you said. But what kind of frustrates me a little bit is, like, we're putting out knowledge. So every day I do a live about service accommodation, and then, 2 reels about service. It's all about service accommodation. And, the views will be pretty good. But then I'll see someone else will post like a picture of a fried breakfast and say, like, what's missing from your plate? And there'll be like 50,000 comments, and it's like, it's hard to sell value. It's hard to give away value. People just like to turn off their brains and just kind of mong out on social media and just scroll. And I don't know how easy it is to get them to buy into real value. Like, the people who get most following and most engagement are people who are just quite, what's the word when they're causing
they're controversial.
Controversial, that's it. Yeah. And they'll just say one thing that causes some controversial engagement, and it blows up. But when you're just trying
to, aren't they? They're playing the game with the algorithms, because what they do is they do that, and then the next one they post, the algorithm kind of boosts them up. So it's not bad to be controversial, actually, sometimes. And I think that the problem is that I think when we think about it, social media is all about, it is about engagement. They want you to keep people on platform. They want people to engage with you. If they think that what you're producing is great content, getting a lot of decent engagement, and they, dial you up on the algorithm stakes. I think, the thing that we've got to remember is that people like to see the upside and the downside. In actual fact, people do like a little bit of drama. So, this is why you get all these spammy headlines that, come across, and then you're like, then they're like something like, oh, don't do this if you don't want to lose £1 million. Thankfully, this has never happened to me, because I know everything about everything. But it's actually, sometimes I think the vulnerability of, people's ups and downs in business, actually telling the stories, showing that you've got the scars, coming out the other side. Sometimes they feel a bit more real. And I think people do really crave that level of realness and authenticity. And authenticity is a word I seem to be using a lot lately and talking about a lot. But it is true, the more authentic you can be, some of the most successful people I know that, on social media, they don't put on any airs and graces. They talk about something, you can go a bit too far with it. You can be a bit, expose yourself a bit too much and, be a bit of an oversharer. I think that is a balance you've got to find, because obviously you've got to think about the people that may have never met you before, who come across you for the first time, could be your ideal customer or the person you're wanting to attract, and then they see you posting something which is really uncomfortable or really messy. It can be that thing that puts them off. So you've got to find your balance, but it's one of those things that you've just got to try and test. But what you're doing, Alex, the consistency of it, I would sooner have much fewer followers but know that they're quality followers than worry about whether something's going to go viral. Because that, you're like yesterday's chip paper within no time.
We had there was one particular post that I did. It wasn't a post, it was just a reel that I put out, and and this is what kind of really proves your point, right? Every video I put out is property, and what we think is really good, genuine value that can really help you build your business, and little tips and tricks and advice, and and it does okay. But then I did one video at the airport. It was just a dumb video where I was like, why do people rush to get on a plane? And it just went absolutely ballistic, and it got nearly 1 million views.
It's because people relate to it, and also it's easy.
No idea why.
There's a lot of online fatigue, I think, though. You think with COVID and everything, everybody was forced to go online. Everybody was oversold online courses, you know, because that was the only way we could really do business. So everybody was kind of, we went through this period. I think the stats were something like there was a 54% increase in searches for online educational content during COVID. And, you know, obviously, you know, people get to a point where they're just like, enough.
Mm.
It's just a change curve. So we've got to get a little bit more creative about how we do what we do, and, you know, think about the way in which we offer and we deliver value. You know, because, you know, yes, there is a call for showcasing your wares and showcasing the level of value that you can give. But sometimes actually saying, you know, look, I'm going to give you the benefit of my experience here, but if you want the value, perhaps you've got to pay for it. Perhaps you've got to see what's behind the curtain and actually invest, because you know that, you know, there's a whole, you know, people will expect more people can get for free. You know, the people that pay you the least are the people that want the most. And, you know, I think you've got to really be careful about, you know, how much you do give away for free.